Hello, everyone. Welcome back to In the Yard Podcast with your hosts, Collin and Braeden Cox, as we record here on Friday, March 21st. And we are less than 1 week away from MLB season. Braeden and I are super excited, and we've been previewing each baseball division. I think we have two more to go. NL West,
Yeah.
which is what we'll be doing this episode, and then the NL Central would be our last one. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, stay tuned for those for the NL Central episode coming out, and also check out our other previous division previews if you haven't seen those yet or listen to them. Um, and yeah, stay tuned for this NL West preview as we record here. And before we get into it, Braden, I just want to say this episode is brought to you by Blue Woods Bakery from Sailorsburg, PA. So I think I'll drop the website to Blue Woods Bakery in the bio, the link to that to the website. And yeah, great bakery. My favorite personally is the vanilla macaroons. So if you're a big macaroons person, I would definitely get an order of those or at least check them out. And then if you're not local, then there's also recipes on there you could follow to make the desserts provided by Blue Woods Bakery. So yeah, I just want to give them a quick
And
shout
these
out
are
there.
all home baked in Sailorsburg,
Everything
Pennsylvania,
is
correct?
homemade. Yes,
That's pretty
homemade,
incredible. You
homemade.
don't see that too often anymore. So
Yes, Brand, you might be getting a taste of Blue Woods Bakery tonight
okay.
potentially.
Okay. The macaroons, you kind of, amped them up a little bit at
Like
this
macaroons
point.
are
So I might
good.
need to
I
try them.
think it.
All
I think
right.
it's cake tonight though, in celebration.
Okay. Okay.
But
I'll just place an order if I have to get my hands on them. So
yeah, yeah. So yeah, check that out. I'll drop the link in the bio. But yeah, let's get into it here. Less than a week away from the baseball season. I know we kind of already had the Dodgers Cubs Tokyo series, which was fun to watch.
yeah.
But official opening day is less than a week away. And speaking of the Dodgers, let's get into it for the NL West. I think we've been doing in order by city, so that would technically make us do the Arizona Diamondbacks first. Braden, give me your thoughts
Yeah.
on the D-backs.
Yeah. They're an interesting bunch because they were in the World Series not last year, but the year before, and there was an expectation for them going into last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird because offensively they crushed it. Like they surpassed those expectations offensively. I know you said on here a couple times that they were the best offensive team in baseball
Mm-hmm.
last year,
They
right? I
scored the
think by
most
runs
runs.
scored or something like.
They scored the
Yeah,
most runs in the league, and by a pretty good amount too.
yeah.
Um,
Uh, the problem is the pitching,
mm-hmm.
right? And specifically the bullpen. And I think that this is a really fun team to watch. I know Corbin Carroll kind of like slumped a little bit last year, but overall, like there is an expectation for this team. And to me, they're definitely a fringe playoff team. I mean, they didn't have next to any pitching last year, and they were a game away, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I look at this as a fringe playoff team, but the problem is, Colin, is I don't think that they didn't really do anything pitching wise. They got Corbin Burns, which is great. They got him kind of sort on a discount, I feel like, because he wanted to play there, right? Or he wanted to play near um Phoenix or wherever the stadium is,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like that's their big off-season acquisition, and that's a great one, right? But I still have a lot of question marks with their bullpen because I don't think they really did anything. They lost Christian Walker, but then they went and replaced him with Naylor. I'm not saying that's one for one, right? But that's a really good like fit in for Christian Walker. Um, but you can probably see where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
It's the pitching that I have concerns with, and specifically the bullpen after they
Mm-hmm.
got Corbin Burns. So we'll see. Offensively, I feel like, yeah, like this should be a playoff team, but they might lose a lot of games 9-7.
Yeah.
And
Now,
that's not gonna help you.
yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I pretty much agree. They were first in runs scored, like we said already last year, and actually 28th in runs allowed. So bottom three in the league in runs allowed for pitching. And yeah, like you said, their starting rotation is very solid. I think Gallen and Merrill Kelly kind of had down years last year, but I have a feeling they'll have a bounce back year. And then, like you said, the addition of Corbin Burns, their starting rotation is very good. It's the bullpen. We might see like kind of we saw it last year where they were winning a lot of games, scored a lot of runs, and the bullpen just absolutely blew it. We saw a lot of times last year. And like you said, they didn't really address the bullpen that much this year. So it does raise some concern. But hopefully, they could, because their bullpen is kind of what carried them to the World Series in that 2023 run.
Yeah.
So hopefully guys like AJ Puck, Kevin Ginkel, Ryan Thompson kind of bounce back years and, get back to where they were in 2023. But yeah, it's all I really have on the D backs so far. I'm sure we'll get into them later in the episode as well.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that this was because correct me if I'm wrong, Jock Peterson was there too, right?
Yes.
Last year? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think they brought in like semi replacements for them. So like overall, like as an off season's concerned, right? You lost Christian Walker, you brought in Naylor. You brought in Corbin Burns. You lost Jock Peterson, you largely replaced him. So like you had a good off season. The problem is like your biggest issue last year that was bullpen. I'm looking at your off-season acquisitions, and it doesn't look like you did anything.
Yeah.
So there's nothing really there to prove that that's just not going to be an issue again. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, I feel like offensively, if they're even in small part like what they were last year, they should make the playoffs. It's just a matter of you know are they going to give up too many runs, especially late in the season? Because that's what kind of
Yeah.
killed them last time. But
Yeah. Yeah. No, hit the nail on the head there. All right. Let's move over to Colorado then, right? If we're going in alphabetical order by city slash first name.
yeah,
Colorado Rockies. I don't have much to say about them. I think their offense will be like decently fun to watch. Ezekiel Tovar, um, kind of a young stud shortstop, right? But other than that, I think, a lot of questions. Oh, Ryan McMahon's pretty good as well. But again, like their pitching is just absolutely awful. Like it's top to bottom, starting pitching, relief pitching. And I know it's hard to pitch in that park. Um, but at the same time, like I think the Rockies are going to be the Rockies, and the division is only getting better, and it doesn't seem like they're keeping up at all. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I don't have too much to say about the Rockies other than the fact that I just don't really have high expectations for them this year. But maybe they can prove me wrong.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm with you. They didn't really make any moves. I'm looking infielder Kyle Farmer, 1 year deal. Maybe that's something to be excited about. I'm not too sure. But they lost Charlie Blackman, right? Was that this past year? He
They retired,
retired, right?
yes.
So, and that was
17.
kind of like in large part like your core guy, I feel like. So, like you said, there wasn't much going on with them this off season. We didn't really expect that, so it's hard for me to be like, oh, like they had a bad off season. They had about the off season I was expecting for them. Um, they're not bothering anybody. They just don't really, they don't really do anything. It's just they just kind of float and, I think their last winning season was probably 2017, 2018, something like that. I remember they made the playoffs that 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, we'll see. Um, it's just another piece of this too is like I even if I wanted to like believe in them, the problem is their division is so good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I would say
Yeah.
4 to 5 teams in this division are like definitely above
Average.
average.
Yeah. I
Exactly.
agree.
So it's tougher, like, you know what I mean? Like it's not like that they're in a division where, they could finish third by default because the rest of it's not too great. It's just, I don't know, they feel destined for last. So we'll see
Yeah.
what happens though.
Yeah. Baseball, anything can happen though. So we'll see. I do think
It's
I do
true.
think they'll be better than last year. If I had to say one nice thing about the Rockies, I do think they'll be better than last year.
Yeah,
But I
that's
mean,
fair.
that's not a high bar, but that's just my take on the Rockies overall.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, cool. So let's go to Colorado to LA then, right? Dodgers,
Yeah. Yep. The defending champs, man.
the big, bad, dirty Dodgers. I mean, not much to say about them, right? They're just that good top to bottom. They really have no holes in their lineup, no holes in their pitching, no holes in the field. Um, and they go out not after right after winning the World Series, they go out and get Blake Snell. They go out and get Roki Sasaki. They get Kirby Yates, a stud reliever. And then Tanner Scott, who's also a stud reliever. And I don't know, Braeden, it just seems like they got even better, not just a little better. They got a lot better since last year, even after winning the World Series. They're spending money like it's nothing. They're already 2-0, kind of took care of business in Tokyo, in against the Cubs in the first two games of the season. And I don't know, I don't see them slowing down anytime soon. Now it's kind of injury riddled right now. Freddie Freeman's out, Mookie Betts, but that obviously didn't stop them the other day when they played the Cubs. And also you have some young studs playing very well. Also, Tommy Edman had good 2 games of the series. He was just a rookie last year. And then Yamamoto was lights out in the first game, and Sasaki was also pretty good in the second game as well. Just when I say I don't have much to say in the Dodgers, like high expectations all around. I think they'll be back and better than ever. Even better than last year for this year.
Yeah, and it's crazy, and you can correct me if you're wrong. You just went on that whole spiel about the Dodgers, and I don't think you mentioned Shohei Ohtani once,
No, I
right?
mean
That's how
that's
good.
part of it. That's part of it. Come on.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is you listed off a bunch of names there
Well, I
of
listed
like
off the I
what we
listed
would
off the
consider great teams.
acquisitions. I listed off the
Yeah,
acquisitions, and
but you
then
get what I'm
Freeman and
saying
Betts
is
were
like we're
hurt.
talking about a team that is so good that we can spend that much time talking about their acquisitions and not bring up like arguably the best player in baseball,
I
right?
mean,
So
I
it
think
just goes to show.
when you mentioned Dodgers, I feel like your mind just goes right to Ohtani, and then just that
Fair.
supporting cast as well. Sorry.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I have to agree with you. I mean, won the World Series last year, was the best team in baseball last year. I would say A++ off season. You mentioned Snell, you mentioned Roki. They re-signed Teoscar Hernandez, Michael Conforto came in, Tanner Scott, Tommy Edman 5-year deal, and Kirby. Like it's ridiculous what this team's got. Um, you know, I'd almost question you if anyone picked someone out of the NL besides the Dodgers. I mean, sure, you can maybe make an argument for someone in the NL East, but on paper, like it feels like that this is like no questions about it, like World Series or bust, right? Like
Yeah,
it would be almost shocking if they
they're a
didn't
super
get
team.
there.
They're a
We
super team
Yeah,
led
I mean
by
we've
Shohei
talked about
Ohtani.
like we've talked about maybe like they would have a problem in a 5-game series. They kind of did for a second there with the Padres last year, but it just feels like it doesn't like that doesn't matter anymore. You brought in Sasaki, you brought in Blake Snell, like you know what I mean? Like you could just keep throwing guys at them and they're gonna figure it out, it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man, this team's loaded, they're a juggernaut. Um I don't even really have much else to say,
Yeah,
man.
that's what I
Like
mean. Like,
I don't I
what are you
can't
gonna say? They're freaking good.
I
That's all there is
can't
to it.
I don't know, like maybe you could think of another team, but I can't remember a baseball team that was like this loaded, right? In our since we've been I don't think so. Like this is kind of absurd how good they are. And so much so that like a month after the World Series, they went and got Blake Snell, and people were losing their mind that they need to restructure the whole system because the Dodgers were
Yeah,
able to just defer money to 10 years from now. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Um, but who knows? Like you said earlier in the episode, it's baseball. Um, a lot of it depends on how well you play in division, right? Maybe they struggle in division. Like, and when I say struggle, I'm saying like maybe they play around 500 ball. And then that makes the division closer than what, we probably both think it will be, but you never know. So we'll see.
yeah, yeah. Hit the nail on the head. We'll get back to the Dodgers in a little bit there. Um, yeah, I just don't have much to say, but we'll touch on them later. All right, so let's go from LA to San Fran Diego.
No,
San
San
Diego.
Diego. San Diego,
Um,
almost.
the Padres, right? Um, yeah, I mean, a lot going on with their ownership right now. But like you just said,
Yeah.
they did give the Dodgers a run for their money in the NLDS. They had them. They were up 2-1. Um, couldn't quite pull it out. I think the Dodgers were just again that much better top to bottom. But I think Padres are gonna be fun to watch. I don't see them having too much of a down year. I don't think they'll be as good as last year. But
Agree.
they have a good young core. Fernando Tatis is still very good. Jackson Merrill was kind of like rookie of the year runner up, right? He's very good. Manny Machado is still good. They have great rotation in Cease and Michael King with the 1-2. I saw Yu Darvish is out to start the season, but I'm sure he'll be back soon. But I don't know. I just for the Padres, it's tough for me to gauge them right now because they had a very similar team in 2023 and just they didn't perform very well. And then last year, kind of lower expectations, and they were one of the best teams in baseball, right behind the Dodgers, right? Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, and it's just tough for me. I think they're going to be a solid. I think they're going to make the playoffs. But then again, I don't think they're at the Dodgers level right now, considering the Dodgers got so much better than last year, and it seems that Padres not got worse, but kind of just stayed the same um,
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah. I mean, the Padres are a huge question mark for me.
Yeah,
I can't put them in that category
it seems like
of
they're a
like
question
they
mark
should.
every year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you don't know what to expect from them.
100%. And yeah, and you said like, oh, like this team should be a playoff team. I don't know about that, man. Like, I think that they're gonna win games, but it's they didn't do anything this offseason, right? They lost Profar, they lost Tanner Scott, right? And it seems like pretty much all offseason there's been like, oh, like maybe Luis Arise, maybe they trade Luis Arise, maybe Michael King is available, maybe Dylan Cease is available. We're like, those are like their best players. Like we have
Yeah.
obviously Tatis and whatnot, but like it almost feels like that this team could be closer to maybe not a rebuild, but to selling at the line than, you know, really contending. I don't know. I don't know. It's just it I think I'm just really thrown off because they're good. Like clearly they almost had the Dodgers last year.
Yeah.
But
That's what I mean.
I don't know what to make it of. So like it almost makes me feel like, well, if they're willing to potentially shop King Cecil to Rise, you know what I mean? It could be
Mm-hmm.
trouble there. So like you said, I think that they're definitely going to be like in the mix. But with the NL East looking to potentially have the Mets, the Phillies, and the Braves all in, right? That's leaving less spots for a team like the Padres. So I don't know.
I think
I
I
think
think the
they'll be
Padres. I think if they gel and play their full potential, I think they could play with anyone. It's just a matter of
I
like what we
agree.
saw in 2023, where like they were good on paper, but they didn't really put it together, kind of thing. So I don't
Yeah.
know. It's just tough. I think, but I don't. I feel like they won't really take that much of a step back since last year.
And that's fair because they didn't really change much, right? But they didn't really add anything in the offseason. They lost Tanner Scott and they lost Profar, who were both pretty big for them. So it's like I agree, they take a step back. It's just a matter of how big of a step back. Um, I don't know. I'm not saying
Yeah,
they're gonna be sellers, but like, is it possible?
yeah. No, I see where you're
I
coming
would
from.
say so.
Yeah, that's why
I
like
would say so. I mean,
when I see trade rumors involving the Padres, it confuses me because like why would you trade your best players? You're a good team.
but that's what
I
I'm
don't know.
saying.
Yeah, it's a little weird. But
So we'll
don't sleep
see.
on
It seems
Tyler
like
Wade
almost
this year
everyone
though.
has been, yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, I think that this Padres team, like their ceiling could be like they could beat the Dodgers,
Yeah,
right?
that's what I
I
mean.
also think that their floor could be like they could be like 5 games out of the playoff picture. I could see that happening with how
Yeah,
good that the division is expected to be and other divisions. I don't know. We'll see. But
yeah,
that's just my 2 cents.
yeah. And then I'm really feeling a
Cool.
Tyler Wade revenge season this year. So
I'd like that.
so
I'd
all
like
right.
that.
Let's move on to the San Francisco
Giants.
Giants. We got 10 minutes left. So we'll talk about the
Yep.
Giants for a little bit, then give our predictions here. So yeah, the San Fran Giants. I mean, it's decent team. I really like kind of like what they do, how they run their organization, but I just think that the vision for them is like just that tough. Where like if you're not really fully bought in, You're not really going to compete with the team like Dodgers or the D-backs or the Padres. And I think that's right now where the Giants stand. Um, and they go out, they do go out and get Willy Adames, right? Have a decent
Hmm.
pitcher ace and Logan Webb. Other than that, like I don't love their pitching. Their offense is going to be solid, but their pitching is what scares me the most. And like I said,
Yeah.
I can't see them competing with the big dogs of the NL West this season.
Yeah. I'm with you. Their big off-season acquisition was Willie, and he's good.
Can you hear me?
He's their shortstop, the future upper echelon. They also got Verlander. I guess that's cool. Veteran presence in the clubhouse. Um, we'll see. This is another team I think is a huge we'll see. Like I think that they could, maybe knock on the door of like a 7 seed, but like I probably wouldn't bet that. Um, you know, we'll see. I mean, I think Buster Posey their like GM or
He's something with their
president
baseball
of baseball
operations.
operations.
Yeah.
So like maybe that's cool. Like maybe maybe that has some sort of an effect on the team. Um, I don't know. We'll see. I'm pretty indifferent here. I'd be curious to see what their over under is. But they didn't really do they didn't really do much. The Dodgers kind of like took everybody. So it
The
you know
Dodgers the Dodgers
if
made
they would have
everyone
been
else
able to,
sellers for the next 5 years.
yeah, pretty much, yeah, because it's like, well, we can't really
Not
compete with
actually,
this.
but yeah.
No, I know what you're saying, but
Teams like the Giants and the
we'll see.
Rockies, like you have to sell,
Yeah,
even
yeah,
though may not have much to sell.
yeah.
Yeah. One thing I'll be
So
watching for Braeden
cool.
is Patrick Bailey on the Giants. He had kind of a breakout season last year as a catcher. Um, he batted 234, slugged 339,
Okay.
but he's really good on defense. And I think they're expecting a pretty good, pretty solid like season from this year overall. He's projected 5.1 F4. So and finished 4.3 F4 last year, which is really good. So one thing I would watch for is Patrick Bailey may have another breakout year and solidify himself as one of the better catchers in the league, and then see how Willy Adames does in San Francisco as well. But I mean, as a team, I don't really have much expectations for them.
Yeah.
So
Fair. Can't argue with that.
yeah, so sorry, Giants fans, not much to say there. Um, but who knows? Prove us wrong. Prove us wrong. I
Prove
think
us
they'll
wrong.
be. See, I think they'd be a contender in a division like the Central, right? But like since they're in the NL
Oh
West,
yeah,
it's that good. It's
100%.
like
I agree with that 100%. They would be top two in the Central, but this
yeah,
division's just,
yeah.
you know.
This is so good. Like
I'd be
maybe
curious to see I'd be curious to see. I know this is might be a little bit off topic, but I'm curious to see each of the Diamondbacks, Padres, and Giants splits against the Dodgers last season. Like what their win loss was. Like how did they perform against the Dodgers solely, right? Because I think that's a lot of what rides on this stuff, right? Like the Giants could have like a better season than anticipated if they play, even 500 ball against the Dodgers. It feels like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
That's what it feels like this comes down to is like your
Yeah,
season kind of rides and dies by how well you play against one team.
yeah. The Dodgers were 9-4 against the Giants in 2024
Yeah.
via stat news.
So that
Um,
needs to be like
yeah,
7-6.
right.
Has to
If you want
be,
to compete.
or it's done. And it needs to be 7-6 for all of these teams.
Yeah,
I'll exclude the Rockies because I don't really put them in there. But you get what I'm saying.
yeah. I agree. All right, let's get
Cool.
into our predictions with as we got 5 minutes left here. I
Yeah.
think you're going first this time.
Yeah. So I go 1 through 5, right? I think
Yeah,
that's what we
we've been
did.
doing one through
Is that
five.
right?
I just want to say Fangraphs predictions has Dodgers 1, D-backs 2, Padres 3, Giants 4, Rockies 5. But let me hear what you got.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be in agreement, right? I got the
Mhm.
Dodgers clearly winning this division. Um, I got the Snakes second, um, purely because I anticipate their offense being close to what it was last year. And they did add Corbin Burns. They didn't really do much in the bullpen, but with what we're both kind of saying is the Padres take a step back. I anticipate that the Snakes will be likely in the playoffs. So I'll put them second. I'm going to put the Padres third, like Fangraphs. I think that they'll be relatively close in record wise to the Snakes, but I don't know. I talked about it already. Like, there's just so many question marks,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't really know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like I said, it feels like that they can almost beat anybody, but at the same time, it's like, why do I feel like you're gonna sell at the line? I don't know. But I'll leave it at that. I'm gonna have the Giants fourth, like Fangraphs, and I'll have the Rockies fifth. I think 1 and 5 is pretty obvious, and then it's just a matter of, you know, how you can convince yourself on 2, 3, and 4.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I think that it's kind of like Dodgers are 1A, and then we've got like Snakes at 2A, and then Padres at like 2B, and so
Yeah.
on and so forth. So I think those three teams can kind of be relatively close, but I go with the Snakes to be ahead of the two
So
of the
do
three.
you think the Padres makes the playoffs?
Oh man, I I want them to make the playoffs in the NL because I feel like that they could beat the Dodgers,
Yeah.
right? But I'm like, okay, the Phillies probably make the playoffs, the Braves make the playoffs, the Mets make the playoffs, and then we're talking about I have the Snakes and the Dodgers. You take one team from the NL, that leaves one spot,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's like that probably goes to the Padres, but I don't know. Like, I think that they're probably a 7 seed.
Right.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But what's going to happen? We're going to talk about the NL Central, but what's going to happen there? Are the Cubs going to have a better than anticipated season? The Brewers, like that's a mosh pit there. So there,
Mm-hmm.
I could see that division maybe getting two as well. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll see.
It's going to be a
We'll see.
dogfight though for that 7 seed, I think. But
Yeah.
you can go now.
Um. Yeah, I have the same thing. So that wraps up here in the yard. Thanks for listening, everyone. No, I'm just kidding. No, I do have the same order as you, Brain. One Dodgers, two
Okay.
D-backs, three Padres, four Giants, five Rockies. This is the first division where we'd agreed on all five spots. But
And this is the one
obviously,
we
like,
thought we'd agree on.
yeah, like I mean, it's pretty like maybe you could switch the Padres and the D-backs, especially since,
Maybe
I could definitely see that argument though because the D-backs didn't make the playoffs last year and the Padres almost made it to the World Series.
100%.
Like not, I say almost made it to the World Series, but almost beat the Dodgers, right? Um,
100%.
so I
It's
could
just
see
the question
maybe
marks.
flipping that, but like you said, the Padres didn't really do that much. I think the D-backs are going to have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder as well
Yeah.
after missing the playoffs last year. Corbin Carroll had a really slow start, turn around in the second half of the season. But I don't know. I think if the D-backs put it all together and the pitching doesn't have to be great, just better than last year. They're kind of like the Bengals where they had great offense, but no defense at all. If they could just fix it a little bit, I think they'll be more than easily in the playoff position. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
I agree. And at least with the Snakes, I know what they are. Like I don't know what the
yeah. And
Padres
I,
are
I love
really. I
I
know
love
that
the addition of
they have a high ceiling.
yeah. And I like the addition of Josh Naylor as well after losing Christian Walker. I think he'll bring some fire to them too. Um,
Yeah,
and yeah, I don't make
yeah.
this all about the D backs, but I feel like they're kind of like a. I just have high expectations for them this year, um, compared to last year. So
Cool.
cool. And I think that about wraps it up here in the yard. Thank you everyone for listening. That's our NL West preview. And we'll do one more preview and then some Yankees preview as we're both Yankees fans, and then an awards preview as well. So stay tuned for all those episodes coming out next week before the opening day. And yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.